Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hot Takes, the show where if you make a bad take, you get punished for it. I'm Rob. He's Jerm. How's it going, my friend?
Going good. Got my punishment out of the way this morning. So, it had been a couple of weeks, but I had to, endure that. It was fun, but I'm not like looking to do it again right away or anything. So we'll see how this episode goes.
Hey, guys, if we could start a streak where, Germ is the one losing instead of me, that'd be great. I did mine from 2 weeks ago. Well, I guess a week and a half ago, technically. But, yeah, it was I think the third hottest B-dubs one because they were like, Blazin is like X Scoville, and then these ones are the ones below it. And I was like, okay, well, I've eaten one like 3 times below this one, so I think I can eat this one without like dying. As you can see in the video, like I struggled. Like the rest of the day, my stomach hurt like terribly. It was not a fun experience. I ate it on a freaking tater tot, dude. Like they wouldn't give me an extra wing because I ordered my wings and I was like, oh shit, I need to do this. I was like, can I have another wing? And she's like, no, but I can get you the sauce. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do that because otherwise it's gonna be weird if I have to scrape it off of this wing that I currently have or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
you don't want to get a full like 6 wings of it or something.
Because we only agreed to
I don't
one.
blame you.
If I had to eat 6 of those, I'm not kidding you, I would have puked. It was like a butter sauce too, so it was like super greasy and it was like, oh my god, dude, it was
A
terrible.
good combo.
Oh, it was the worst. I was like, man, I would have loved something not butter sauced, but I guess it was either that or the blazing wings, and I'm pretty sure the blazing would have literally lit me on fire.
Yeah,
So
I cannot even imagine. I mean, I guess your solution now is, if you're gonna keep riding the FlyQuest train, you got to get the FlyQuest fans going or start working on that fan base or something.
they're looking good. They're looking real good. They're in a great position right now, and we will get to them. I want to kind of work our way up the standings this time because we normally start down. Because we actually will have something to talk about with Evil Geniuses for the first time ever. Ever, maybe? I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, real quick, too. I want to start doing these at the beginning of videos, too. Leave us a comment down below. What is a punishment you would like to see us do? Okay? We want to start getting your ideas so we can start maybe stacking them up, especially for the off season because the off season is going to be a fun one, I think. But we're going to have a lot of hot takes, and we're going to need to hear your guys' thoughts on them. So, yeah, let's just start down at the bottom here. Dignitas. I continuously use the word hapless for this team. I continuously feel like this team is just not doing it. They go and they start Spawn over Neo, which was so unbelievably confusing to me when I don't think Neo's the problem on this team at all. Maybe they're just trying to figure out if they're going to keep Spawn at all. But it was already confusing that he was on the team in general for the academy team. I mean, a 24-year-old rookie is pretty tough for me to justify. I didn't love it, and this weekend was not any better for them. They didn't really look like they had much of a chance in either game. And it's just like Spawn played well in Saturday's game, which was great. Good for him. I think a lot of that had to do with the setup from the rest of his team, not to completely take it away from him. He still looked good, but like he did what he was supposed to do. And I'm not ever going to judge somebody off of 2 games. I want that to be clear. I'm not even going to really judge somebody off of maybe more than like anything less than like half a split, at least normally for me. It's hard because it takes time to get used to people and everything else, especially coming in during the middle of it. But I mean, yeah, they had Cloud9 kind of on the back burner, but then Cloud9 was just like, we're just better than you, so we're going to take 2 team fights in a row and just make this game impossible to win. So I don't know. This Dignitas team doesn't give me anything for excitement for the future, and it definitely doesn't give me any excitement for the now. They have, I think, a couple okay players. I think Dark Wings is one of them down there on the academy squad. If I'm them at this point, I would just make the changes kind of like TSM did and just see what happens because it ain't getting any better, and you're still a full game behind TSM and Immortals. So I don't know. What do you think, man? I mean, this team.
Yeah, you're not getting any better. You can't get any worse. You're in 10th place. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because this whole LCS season, all the teams are like a mash, and every week something different and stuff. And we haven't gotten a lot of answers to a lot of our questions, but maybe we have an answer now that Dignitas is the worst team in the LCS. It's like they had a tough weekend. Cloud9 FlyQuest, it's not an easy week, but like there's just not a lot to go off of. Spawn was fine, and yeah, I know last week I was saying, hey, this team should try out some other players. Well, let's see, make some changes. I don't really like what they're doing. They got some older, more experienced players already. They're not really working. Their one kind of prospect for the future is Blue. That's not really doing it for me. Spawn, I think he was played fine, but yeah, he's not really doing it for me. Yeah, I don't know. They're in the worst spot you can be, being a old team, and not necessarily an old team, but a bad team with not a bright future. Good luck to him.
And I was wrong, by the way. Dark Wings. Wait, did he? Yeah, he's not on the team anymore, or something like that. I don't know. He was on the team, but I guess Insanity is starting now. So. Oh yeah, Dark Wings is on 100 Thieves X. Okay, sorry, gotcha. I messed that one up.
Yeah.
There you go. I do like XU. I think he might.
That's what I was gonna say. I know they have him too, and River hasn't been as good as he was in spring.
Yeah, he already looks like he's falling off. But I mean, that's hard. What is he supposed to do as a jungler when every lane?
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, yeah, like look at his team, but also I'm like, is River their jungler for the future? Like even if he's not the issue or the problem, like say this team is good in 2025, is it with River in jungle? Probably not. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know.
That's what's kind of hard for me with these teams. Like, and this is something that I want to discuss a little bit with you. And we're gonna go over the LCK like new contract stuff later on in the video. But something that you put out on Twitter that I found to be very interesting was the questioning of expansion for teams. And I thought this one might be a little longer, just so everybody knows, because we're going to talk a little bit about this. We're going to talk about all the teams, and we're going to talk about these contract stuff, because there's been a lot in the last couple weeks that I think is really interesting. And, you made the point, like, you don't want any more lifeless teams who don't care, it feels like. And I know that the actual individuals, right, like the people who are in it, the players, the coaches, at least one of the managers, hopefully, they do care about the success in the brandability and all this stuff with his teams. But it just feels like a team like Dignitas are just like, what's your plan? What is your hope? And who is running this with the idea of we need to try to compete now with both of our teams? Because that's what that feels like. And to me, that honestly just makes no sense. Like, how did they look at this roster and think, even at the beginning of the year, this is a team that's going to compete for Worlds, right? This is a team that's going to be good. Yeah. I don't understand teams that look at things as like, oh, I'm just going to get the best players that I kind of can and then just hope that it works out. Like, that has never been something that I've understood, and I do get that they have probably more limited resources, all that kind of stuff. But if that's the way you're going to do it, go look at, like, people hate this, but go look at traditional sports. Those teams that have less resources still win World Series, still win championships. Look at FlyQuest. They are the prime example of a team that has less resources than all the other teams surrounding them right now and at the top. E.g., 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, Cloud9, TSM. All 5 of those teams have way more resources at their disposal than FlyQuest. But guess what? FlyQuest has been thinking about this for years. They are enacting a plan, and it is working. When I look at a team like Dignitas, I don't see it. So it's hard for me to not argue, and I'll let you put your point out there, differently from your point as to why teams shouldn't be able to come in. So I'll let you do your point, and then I'll counteract, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see merit in both sides, and I know that there was a Twitter interaction that we had previously as well of talking about, like, hey, would you rather be the 6th place team that makes the playoffs every split, or, the team that maybe finishes 10th every once in a while, but maybe their ceiling is we're going to go to Worlds at some point? And yeah, like, you look at this Dignitas roster, it's like, if everything went great, what was it, sixth, seventh? Like what like realistically,
Yeah,
what was their ceiling? Like, and I think a lot of teams make the mistake of like, yeah, there's so many teams that just get middling players at every position, middling to bad players. That blows my mind. I don't
yep.
understand. I will never understand that. But then some people go the other way too, where they're like, okay, we're gonna get 5 young players who have no experience, have no idea what's going on, and hey, we're developing people, right? It's like, no, the teams who are doing it good, it's like you need a mix. You need some high potential. You need some stability. You need somebody. If your coaches, your management has no idea what's going on, you better have a player that's like won some games before or something to guide the ship. So many of these orgs are headed by people who they're probably well intentioned, but they clearly don't have a clue. Hopefully they're learning or,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're just not in the right direction at all. And yeah, talking about expansion, I get it. The idea of expansion is like, this bright, shiny new thing. And I like the idea of expansion too. I would love to get to 12, 15, 20 teams in the LCS, have this thing growing, have this thing exploding. But like, I also don't want to get ahead of ourselves of like, okay, Mr. Beast coming in. That sounds awesome. Mr. Beast, that would be cool. Maybe some new fans would come in or whatever. But it's like, how many Mr. Beast fans are League of Legends fans? How many Mr. Beast fans are League of Legends esports fans? Are Mr. Beast fans automatically coming in and watching the LCS every weekend? Maybe. He also has to probably have a good team, or at least an interesting team, or at least some compelling storylines or something. Like if you take Dignitas and slap Mr. Beast's face on it, a year later, like they probably might not still have very many fans or very many people tuning in. So I don't know. To me, people are just like, oh, LEC, grab K Corp, grab Koi, we're good to go. LCS, grab Mr. Beast, grab Sentinels, we're good to go. And it's like, just because some of these teams or people or orgs have been successful other places doesn't automatically mean it's going to work in the LCS. Doesn't automatically mean like, hey, we have X fans right now. If we absorb some other people, now we have X plus Y. It's like, maybe, but you also have to be creating new fans. Your game has to be growing. Your broadcast has to be good. You have to be bringing in people and then holding on to them, not just looking for like a 1 week spike or something. But then at the same time, I totally get the opposite side too, where like you look at, you want to talk about traditional sports. It's like traditional sports leagues, every single league has some of these bottom feeding teams and they're still wildly successful and they're still able to expand and they're still able to do all these things. But is the LCS in the position that those leagues are in? I don't know.
And that's where I made this argument like 4 or 5 years ago and got laughed out of the room by some people. But like, this is why connecting it to a city, connecting it to a region, people don't want to discuss it. It works though.
Yeah.
Why do you think there are millions of Cincinnati Bengals fans that are only just now getting to enjoy their team for the first time? I was
the
a
org
fan.
Was so good because the org did so many
Yeah,
things
it was
right.
so good. No, the Cincinnati Bengals were the Dignitases. I can speak on this because I've experienced it my entire life in traditional sports. I have been a Reds and Bengals fan my entire life, and I have seen them go to one championship. One. That's where my TSM fandom came from, partially. Yes, I have the backstory of watching Dyrus. For those of you who don't know on this show, like Dyrus was what got me into TSM because I would watch his videos on how to play Singed back in the day, okay? So just like a lot of you, that's how you get your initial connection, right? But like, if these kids are going to grow up and they're going to watch it, right? And League of Legends is starting to expand into high schools and all this other stuff, right? That's how you kind of build that foundation. It's going to take like 10 years, but it will happen. Eventually, and actually one of the people who supported this was TL Steve. When I asked him at a finals in Detroit, 2019, he was like, yeah, I do think eventually we're going to have to go to regional/city-based teams because that's like how you build generational fans, and that's what you need. Right now, it's so incumbent on winning. Winning is the only way to keep fans because I think esports fans are a little less connected to their teams for some reason. I don't really still understand why. I still struggle with that concept as to, like, I like a lot of the LCS teams, and like I'll support Dignitas if they go to Worlds. Like I'm not gonna just sit here and completely shit on them, but like, you know, I have one team that I will root for against all the other teams if they play them that I want to do better. But when it comes to competing at Worlds, I want to see the LCS succeed. I want to see the LEC succeed, right? Like you can still have a favorite team, but root for the other teams when they're not playing against them, right? And I think that that's where the difference is for me. Now, my counteraction to your point about expansion is I think it's going to drive teams like Dignitas, like Immortals, like CLG, three of the all-time worst records in the LCS to be better, right? Because we've seen what Evil Geniuses have done since they've come into the LCS. Even FlyQuest has close to or do have a winning record all time. Like, these teams come in and some of them don't do anything, but some of them do. We get the Evil Geniuses, right? Like, 3 teams came in a couple years ago, right? We had Immortals, Evil Geniuses, and Dignitas all come in for, who was it? Optic, Echo Fox, and Clutch Gaming, right? Now, the funny thing is actually all 3 teams that were in the LCS at the time, I believe all of them except for Optic had a winning record, funny enough. Clutch and Echo Fox. Echo Fox specifically had a very good record. Still sad they had to leave. But by adding 2 new teams, sure, you do run the chance of them being pretty lifeless, unnecessary orgs. But at the same time, like you said, you're bringing in new fans, potentially.
Yeah.
And not just that, but you are increasing the bar. You are making it so that you're not like the LCS is, it's not going to get any worse if you add 2 more teams. You should, and I know it's not normally a good argument, but like, I do think it can only benefit it because you bring in more fans and you might find a team or 2 that are going to start challenging, like Evil Geniuses has, to these, and even 100 Thieves, right? When they came into the LCS, like, everybody was skeptical about the Hoodie Org. Well, guess what? They're one of the most all-time winning teams and franchises in the LCS. I think you have to bring in new blood at times, and I think, like, I'll be honest with you, if they were able to get Mr. Beast and Ninja, I'm serious. Like, if they could get, Team Beast and Team Ninja in here, I'm telling you right now, the LCS would not only see a spike, but they would have 2 people who care a lot. Nadeshot is one of the big, like, look at who these brands are associated with too, right? Like, right. Dignitas is owned by the 76ers as one of their primary people. Golden Guardians is owned by the Warriors as one of their primary people. Immortals is owned by people who are owned by people who I don't really completely trust still. The storied orgs, the good ones, they have people who care, good managers. Again, Nadeshot, I think, is the number one example of somebody who came in. He understands the value of an LCS franchise, and I'm telling you right now, you can mark me down on this one. This won't be my hot take, but because I truly believe this is just should be a normal take. If the LCS were to open up 2 spots, they would have at least 30 plus people that would apply for that spot, without a doubt.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, obviously, but yeah, I know it'd be very, very hot. I mean, yeah, you could even see like we talked about before, like, yeah, the Schalke slot last year sold for like $30 million or $35 million, something crazy.
Initially bought for.
Yeah, and that's, I think those prices and the future of league and still, this being S+++ tier esport or whatever, it's good and bad because, yeah, it shows how valuable this is. It shows that a ton of people want in. But it also gives incentive to the people who are already in to sit on their slot. The money is in the slot right now. Like, if you're a Dignitas and your slot has gone from 10 million to 30, 35, 40 million in the past, 4 or 5 years of franchising, like, could Dignitas have done anything else to make 30, 40 million dollars? And are they not better off like saving some money and being like, hey guys, we're still in the LCS, like, 100 Thieves, EG, keep doing it, guys.
There should be a way to vote them out, I think, a little easier than they have right now. I will say that.
Yeah. But then I also do think too that at the end of the day, like, I'm pro expansion. I'm not like anti-expansion or anything. And I also think, just being realistic, like, we are much more likely to get an expansion of 12 teams than we are of like 2 teams selling their slots, or people are like, oh, kick this team out of the LCS. Like, that stuff's not going to happen. Somebody might sell if they get in a bad situation, economy, yada, yada, yada. But like, maybe 1 team. I don't think we're going to see like 3-4 teams selling out. This thing is valuable. You want to have this, and if you lose it, you're never getting it back. So yeah, I think expanding to 12 teams is likely. It's the way that we're going to have to go. Even if I don't think it's perfect, I still think it's cool. And yeah, they're going to have a lot of applicants. I hope that they use different criteria or whatever, because I think a lot of this could have been avoided. Like, we just had a ton of teams apply, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, and how many of the selections really ended up being good? Like, yes, there was financial stability from like the big NBA money or whatever, but like maybe we should have been a little riskier in terms of financials and a little bit more forward looking. Who knows? Or maybe that's how we needed to get it off the ground, and now we can get a little crazier.
I think that's it, honestly.
Yeah, and I can totally see that. We didn't need it to blow up in the first year or something. But yeah, let's get crazy now. Yeah, the frontward facing, the people who are gonna get out there and make a connection with fans, people. That's the people who have succeeded. That's people who are going to succeed. So yeah, I mean, if the orgs aren't doing that, then they're fighting a uphill battle that may be next to impossible.
Well, we're going to find out. But no, I appreciate this. I think it's a good discussion, and we'll talk more about contracts because I think that's going to be another way to hopefully solve some of these issues. If it's done correctly, I know a lot of people are probably not going to like it, but get over it. Shit needs to be happening and things need to be done, because if you keep it the way that it is, then it's not only going to be boring, but it's going to stay the same and people are already complaining about it, so why not make changes? It's my semi-hot take, I guess. Moving up the standings, we have shit on Dignitas for long enough. Our TSM currently settled in 9th. Kind of. They're 1-1 against Immortals. I'm just putting them 9th right now because they just lost to them. I saw things, and I talked about this in the Talking TSM that came out yesterday, technically, since this video will be coming on Tuesday. And I am still encouraged, even with the loss to Immortals. I think one bad team fight with one bad Ignite should not take away what this team was doing, and still was able to kind of hold on for a little while longer than they should have. Soul is the hottest commodity I've ever seen, truly. He has been on every show. He's been on the Bud Light, Next Lounge or whatever. Like, he's been on Hotline League. He has been on the Game House's channel, as I was the first one to interview them. Let's go. Still can hold that one to my name, but I don't know. Like, I didn't hate this weekend. I actually think that they played both games not too badly. The Hunter Thieves game, they had a couple of mistakes, no doubt, that put them in the hole, but I think some draft mistakes are still killing them. I don't love Poppy first pick overall, really. There's a lot of different things that are going on. But yeah, I am just of the opinion that TSM they're working their way through whatever their issues are, and that just takes time. So a win against Immortals would have been good for this team. It would have almost guaranteed them that 8th place spot. And people may laugh at me for this, but you have the 2-0 over Immortals and a game on them, and the way Dignitas are looking, now it's more looking like Immortals might be able to get it, but we'll have to see. The battle for 8th is going to be an interesting one to watch. And I don't know, man. It's hard to shit on TSM right now because at least they're trying something, and that's even coming from me, who has been openly taking shots at them lately with some of their decision-making.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my overall takeaway from this weekend from TSM is they look like a team with 3 academy players, like, some guys with some potential. Maybe they're LCS ready, maybe they're not quite LCS ready. I think they're kind of getting like their welcome to the show moment of like, hey, Soul gets a huge TP game-winning play last week. They get a pentakill, they're doing all this, and then the next week it's like, hey, it's you don't get a pentakill every week. Hey, maybe it's not so easy type thing.
Easy. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's normal. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think, they've won some games, they've lost some games. I don't think anyone thought they were going to come in and instantly set the world on fire. Yeah, Soul's been everywhere. He's been awesome. He's been fun. He's exciting. I still think that's half the puzzle. He's still got to put it all together. He's still got to perform well. The story is left to be told. And it's kind of like, it's good and bad to have somebody that on fire coming up and people to be that excited, but it's also like maybe shows how desperate we are for something like that as well. That, he has one on the mic moment, he has one big game, and now he's everywhere. It's like, that should be the norm. We should be building up people all the time. We should every team should have a guy like that. Some of that's on the team, some of that's on the players, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think this is just like normally in line with my expectations for TSM from this weekend. And I don't mean that as a shot. I mean that as they're going to lose some games like this. They're going to have some bad games. And Immortals, I think, is playing better too. This isn't like losing to like week 2 Immortals or something.
Agreed. Yeah, and that's my thing is like they're probably still going to find a win or two, maybe even 3, somewhere, and that may be enough. It really just depends on Immortals and Dignitas, and my argument is that the only way that this could become a problem for TSM is if they were to change literally anything. At this point, they should just commit to what they have. They should just play these 5 throughout, because I still believe the biggest problem in the LCS overall, and again, I think this will come to the contracting portion of this, is these teams are just unwilling to stick with players and understand that it takes time to get good. Spica went from being an absolute laughingstock in the Sejuani pick, messed up Kane, terrible first game, to being an MVP. That takes time. The game, the nuances of the game, like being here and Challenger and Academy, you're still this far away from being a top tier LCS player, and or just major region player. Like, I don't think people really understand. Like, if you go on Soul's Twitter, which everybody was telling everybody, oh, go follow Soul on Twitter. I agree. Go do it. But like his play that he has up there, where he shows off this quadra kill that he gets on Yone, nuts, dude. You're like, holy shit, this guy can pull it out. Has almost a very similar play in the LCS, and guess what happens? Instantly dies, insta death, because they understand the game at a much better way than Academy, amateur, and solo queue players. Like, sorry, whoever it may be that's rank 4 or whatever, like, who's not in the LCS, like, good for you. You know how to play solo queue better than these pros. They're still better than you, though. Like, they know how to play around a team, and that's the highest level of league that we have. So, you're right. They're getting a little dose of reality here. This was a good week. Hopefully, they learned from it, but TSM are building towards the future, and TSM fans have to accept that and need to make sure they show the support so that this freaking franchise doesn't just blow it up already again and try to make changes. Like, at this point, what's the point of being 8th if you're just going to play a bunch of players who've already been to playoffs? Doesn't matter. It's more important that you try to get 8th with 3 players who need the experience and chance at playing in a playoff series, and what a best of 5 against what would probably end up being a pretty good LCS team actually looks like. That's more valuable than just making it there because you sub in tactical and solo, which would be just for me, I would be so fuming. Personally, I'd be like, that's just the stupidest decision they've made all year, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, either way, I don't think it's too big of a deal. If this team does make it in the playoffs, that's great. It's icing on the cake. They'll get some cool experience. If they don't, then start your boot camp. You got 5 months, whatever, to get going, and
3 months.
Right. Yeah. So I think no matter what, they're in a fine spot. I don't really think anything that they do throughout 2022 matters all that much at this point. Maybe they're on the right track, maybe they're not, but I don't think we'll know for quite some time.
And that's my point for any of these teams. If you're a bottom tier team, you should be trying to build a dynasty, not just hey, every 3 years we make the playoffs one time and maybe make it look exciting. Nah, dude. It's got to be, we want to win year in and year out. C9 does it. 100 Thieves do it. Looks like EG's on their way to doing it. I'm just saying it's all part of the process. Immortals, like you said, looking better. They're winning with weird drafts. Their draft against TSM yesterday was weird. The Cassiopeia pick did nothing for me. Did not really care about it. It was there, sure. Whatever. I mean, the Seraphine bot pick, they had no real source of damage. They just got lucky that Revenge made a really good play and Kenvi made a really good play. There were 2 plays that won them that game. And they're coming out of the players that you kind of talking about building a future that Immortals seem to want to be building their future around in Kenvi and Revenge. That is a huge positive for them. They both looked great yesterday. I got to remember real quickly their game on Saturday against Liquid was
Team Liquid, yeah.
pretty bad. Still, at least Power Vivo was playing Silas for the first time, which was the first time that I can remember. Really, that was
Yeah,
good. He looked okay
I,
on it.
I thought he looked fine on Silas. Yeah, and I mean, Immortals kind of hung around like 25 minutes. Gold was still close. Yeah, Team Liquid was scaling up and
Oh, for
eventually
sure.
blew it open
Yeah,
within like less than 5 minutes later. But
they were there.
yeah, I mean, they didn't like lose at 20 minutes or something. Like, I don't know, it wasn't the
Well, they
worst
had
game
three
that I've seen all
dragons
split.
too. I mean, they had like control in
Yeah,
certain parts of
something
the
was going
map
for
and
them.
stuff. Yeah, they
And
look
and part of
better.
that, I don't know if that's a critique of Team Liquid or if that's praise to Immortals or a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like shocked that Team Liquid let a team hang around, get some dragons, maybe, yeah, whatever.
This team's a good
But
team.
yeah, I think Immortals looked fine. I did like that Kenvi got a couple early ganks off against TSM as well. He's making some things happen. It's Trundle, it's not like he did anything insane or anything like that, but some creative pathing, trying to cause some chaos, which is what anyone needs to have those plays and options available to them. You got to be unpredictable. You got to be creative, but especially if you're a bad team, you gotta make the game a little crazy. You got to do some things that don't make sense, or obviously within reason, but like you got to
Yeah,
show up in some weird places and stuff like that. Yeah, I thought this was a fine week for Immortals. I did think Power of Evil Silas looked decent.
I would
I
agree.
think Ignar doesn't look good. I
Which
don't
is so
know.
sad. The fall,
Yeah,
that is one of the only players I've truly ever seen take a break that wasn't even that long and go from like top tier to basement. I mean, almost. He might be the worst support right now in the LCS, and that's saying something. There are some people who are struggling right now at that position,
yeah.
and I don't know, man. It's just he ain't it right now, man.
Yeah, I'm at least glad to see that they look, like I said, they look better than they did earlier in the split.
Agreed.
So hopefully
Agreed.
they're progressing towards something. I don't know, it doesn't seem
They're
like
on a
a
two-game
complete
win
disaster
streak.
over there. Yeah, and I still think that they're a boring team, boring org, but they're playing a little bit better. So
Hey,
that's at least one positive we can say.
my initial thing of my really big stretch goal of Kenvi helping this team win the LCS is still in contention now. I thought it was out, but with this win, they can still make playoffs. They can make that lower bracket run, baby.
There you go.
Kenvi all the way, lower
We
bracket.
got life.
If they do that, I will actually eat something like straight up hot. I'm not even kidding you. That would be like I will go out and just straight up eat like half a jalapeno or something like that. Like
Flip it.
like that would be that. Make you eat the other half because that's so unlikely. Good lord, but whatever. Yeah, making our way downtown. We're walking fast and we're going to Golden Guardians. I hate that this team is not better. It is so frustrating to me. I just don't get it. I don't know what else they have to do. I mean, they draft weird. Ole is just not playing well. Like they don't play around their points of strength at all. It feels like they put way too much attention into the bot lane. And sure, Stixay's actually been better than I thought he was going to be. But like how many times are you going to put Licorice on the KO, give him no attention whatsoever, and hope that he just figures it out when he's getting ganked multiple times and still almost figures it out, by the way. And then the next game you put him on Sejuani. He gets a freaking solo kill on Sejuani against, what was this? I'm pretty sure it was against the Kale.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, we still lost because we put our eggs in the Stixay basket, who still almost helped them win. But like, dude, I just don't get it with this team. I really don't understand it. You have two, at least top 5 players, in my opinion, at mid and top lane. And you decide to play around your bottom tier jungler and your definitely bottom tier bot lane. What? Like, Inero's such a good head coach, like a good mind. Why is he doing this, dude? I'm really frustrated with this team because I see the potential. Like, this team could be really good, but they are consistently not playing around their areas of strength, and I can't keep watching their games. Like, seriously, like I just get frustrated. I'm like, oh, like I saw that kill game, and I was like, hell yeah, like yes, play around Licorice. Like, He'll scale the hell and just blow everybody away. Nope. He gets ganked like 3 times. I think maybe Pride Stalker went up there once. Like, I'd have to go back and look. Don't quote me on the exact numbers there of times, but that's just what it felt like.
Watch the game.
Yeah, I did watch it. I just watched it reluctantly. It was very frustrating to watch. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same stuff. I think we both have been high on Licorice and Ablaze Olive the whole year. I still think they're really good. They're doing a lot of good things, especially for a middle to bottom tier team. Stixay has definitely been better than I thought he was going to be, and I think he's even fine, but I think this team is in that same basket that we keep talking about of, like, you guys aren't good right now. You guys aren't going to Worlds this year. So, like, why not build for the future? Why not try? Is your building for the future Pride Stalker? Because you have 4 veterans. I mean, Ablaze Olive been around for a couple years now. Your only inexperienced player is Pride Stalker. You're putting all your eggs into the Pride Stalker basket, and then maybe Leader, who, same thing with him. He's been a pro for a couple years now. Like, yeah, Pride Stalker, I'd be moving on from him. Ole, I'd be moving on from him at this point as well. Like, I don't know. I think it would be so cool, like, for this team to go out and grab like Busio, even a pair with Stixay or something like that, around good, strong veteran solo laners who are going to have a grasp of the game. Licorice has won some games before. He knows what's going on. Like, this team needs to get somebody young, interesting, exciting, and I would skew towards Resident because I'm always in the take some changes on Residents.
Yep.
Get the imports where we're filling in the pieces rather than, hey, here's Pride Stalker. He's an import that hopefully he's good. Oh, he's like middle of the pack to bad. It's frustrating. It's weird. This team gets leads because they do have good laners. They make some plays. They have some interesting drafts, but they don't play good as a team. They're not a good team. And yeah, it is frustrating, and I don't like what they're doing right now, and I don't think it's going to be better next year. I think they just have a bad vision of what's going on.
Well, and what's really killing me is you have Stixay, who is a known commodity. We know what Stixay is. And yes, he's actually a little younger than I think most people would think he is. But he is blocking both Array and Prismal. Prismal, who was once regarded as one of the better bot lane prospects, who is now having to play support because nobody will give him a chance at AD carry when he still looks pretty solid when he does play it. I just don't get it. Like, and then their commitment to Ole is just mind-boggling. Truly mind-boggling. Like, he's not been bad. Like, I think a lot of people think when you and I talk about him, like, I don't think he's bad. But the commitment is just what is crazy to me. Like, what is the plan here with him when you're signing him to multi-year deals? You're getting him his green card. Like, you're having Stixay fill in for who? For what? What is the purpose? Like, I'm just going to go on record. My hot take for this week is with the way Golden Guardians are playing, they actually don't make playoffs. I think they are consistently not playing well. They're only a game above Immortals and TSM right now. They lose to either or both of those teams, then there's a very real chance that they don't make playoffs. Now, they're better than both of those teams, don't get me wrong, at least on paper, but they're not playing like it. And they don't seem to have the motivation. They don't seem to be really pushing themselves all that well. And this is coming from somebody, I think I had them ranked like 5th in my preseason power rankings. I really thought this team could be a lot better, even with the bot lane that they have. And I think if that's the case, they got to go back to the drawing board. And they've really got to figure out what they want to do because you bring over Licorice, you sign him to a new deal. You bring up Ablaze Olive. He plays well. He looks like a very good laner and who's been working on his team fighting. But you've never had a great jungler for them. I don't understand why you didn't go out and get somebody like freaking, I don't know, Sven Skaren was available. Like, he's not
still
amazing,
is.
but he's still solid. He's with C9 as a coach. I'm sure he would come back. Like, I'm really confused. And then you look at another team, you look at their academy team. Concept, 23 years old. Acadian, God, I don't know, 26? Right?
Yeah, I was going to guess 25, something like that.
Or no, wait, he's 4 years younger than me, so yeah, 26, okay? Leader, 23 years old. Array, 22. Prismal, 22. Like, yes, I get it. Like, there are 22-year-olds and 21-year-olds and even 23-year-olds who, like Chime, who can still come in and they can be something, right? They may not be it forever, but like, or for a really long time, but like they could be it for a couple of good years, good 3-4 years out of a player still like that. But you don't have a single player under the age of 20 on your developmental roster. And you're going to tell me right now that there aren't people out there who might be better prospects than Acadian? That's no dig on him. I think he's good, but I'm talking about prospect, not player. Prospect. Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, I really don't understand it. For a team that has been so good at developing young talent and all this other stuff, it's like they're going the complete opposite way, and they're just keeping people on there who are their friends at this point. I mean, Acadian was a freaking coach for them. Stixay was a coach for them. Like, dude, come on. You're gonna seriously tell me that you didn't keep those players just because you like them? You know, again, Stixay's been better than I thought he was going to be. I will give them credit for that one. But this team is very frustrating to me, and I truly believe they are going to replace, I'm pretty sure, Olive with Leader at some point. And I think that's just a huge insult. And if I'm a Blaze Olive, I'm like, I'm out. Put me somewhere else. I don't care where it is. Just put me anywhere. And there are teams who could use a mid laner. Let me tell you right now. And he's a solid one. He's not going to be amazing, but he's a solid one. I mean, you pair him with a good jungler, and he could potentially scrape the bottom of All Pro with a good jungler.
That's my thing with him is I want to see what he looks like on a good team. Like, I mean, this is the argument that I always get in with people is that, like, it's a team game.
Yeah.
Good players can look bad or worse on bad teams, and bad players, you know, we always fall in love with, like, oh, the teams that are good, like, oh, is it some coincidence that the 3 All-Pro teams, like, so often are like 95% the 3 teams with the best records? It's like, they probably aren't the 15 best players in the LCS. They probably just have the 15 best stats or have looked the best or whatever. Like, you put a Blaze Olive on a good, like, say you put him on an insane roster, but even a better roster than this, he could look a lot better. Like, there is some promise here with him and Licorice. Like, oh, Licorice was all pro on C9 and 2 years later now he just sucks. Like, no, maybe he just was on 2 bad teams. Yep. Like, that sounds a lot more realistic to me. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's move up to the CLG team. I'll let you start with them here while my dogs bark. So what are your thoughts on CLG?
CLG, I mean, obviously kind of stole the show this weekend in the second game against Team Liquid. You know, the Pala Faker game or whatever coming out. And it's so weird to me because Palafox, like I said, I think I said this last week, I think he's been looking like he's been trying to make plays the whole year, and I think that's cool, and he hasn't been discouraged, even though he's definitely fallen flat on his face a couple of times.
Yeah.
But he's still here. He's still going for it. You know, you're against Team Liquid, you're against Bjergsen, all this stuff. You could easily just roll over. You know, this could be like, hey, we'll get on to next week. No one would have even said anything. You know, we just breezed by this one. But yeah, they tried and they put up a fight and obviously ended up taking down the win, which was cool to see. Their other game against EG, I mean, that's a crazy week. Yeah, EG and TL for them.
Yeah, I mean, getting a win at all was huge for them.
Yeah. The fact they're coming out with 1 win is awesome. I think there's still some things I like about this team. I don't know, Dokla, the magic seems gone there a little bit. It seems like he's...
Yeah, they keep trying to play through him, and it makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, I think he can be serviceable, but he's not a carry. I mean, maybe at some point in the future. Today, he's not a carry. He's not a guy you want to play through. Still don't think Contracts is all that good, but Palafox, if he has a game like this every once in a while, that's pretty interesting. And I still think this bot lane is very exciting for the future. I mean, give me Luger and Poom. I think they're definitely the thing to build around, and it's cool they even have the potential to win games like this. Obviously, there's a lot of criticism you can throw towards Team Liquid, but hey, CLG won this one.
I mean, I just don't. This team just hurts me, dude. Like, Dokla went 1-8 this weekend. Yeah, 1-8, and he was on 2 carry champions. And even in the game that they won, he did nothing. He realistically did nothing. Like, bro, they got to start playing towards the bottom half of this. It's like the exact opposite of what Golden Guardians are doing right now. And I will give credit to one player who I actually have been really crapping on all year, and I went and I looked again. Contracts has actually been a pretty good jungler this split. Not great, but like almost to the point where I'm like, you know what? He could stick around and I wouldn't be upset about it. Like, he's probably better than most of the Academy League junglers right now. And that's good. That's good for this team. This team is not that bad. They just continuously are doing some weird drafts and they're playing through the wrong players at times. Dude, you have Luger. Luger could also be somebody who scrapes the bottom of the barrel but still there for all pro. Like, he could be right in that third, fourth discussion if you actually gave him resources. They have got to start giving him resources. Please, for the love of God, do something with this really solid, talented player. I mean, it's just like they just continuously are forgetting this summer split. Like, oh, I forget to go through him. Like, well, some of our wins came from Dokla. No, some of your wins came because you surprised people by going through Dokla. Right. Big difference.
It blew their minds.
They were like, oh, you went through Dokla. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, we didn't prepare that strategy at all. I mean, yeah, to them, I'm shocked because I think everyone thought that was so clearly the strategy coming into the year. I thought we were gonna see some ridiculous stuff like over-indexing into Luger. I thought we were gonna be putting like the double lift Team Liquid teams to shame of we're going bot and Luger's either gonna go 0-10 or 10-0 because he's going to make the play and carry us or we're going to lose. Like, yeah, I mean, this is weird to me. And I would maybe even like it if they did that. If Luger just got everything thrown at him every game and he could learn and get better and stuff. And now we're like, oh, hey, you want to try out Seraphine?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Scaling a Felios where you get no resources. Yeah, thank you for trying to carry us today. Sorry about that.
Right.
Your top laner went 0-7. On Gwen, one of the most overpowered champions on the patch, but that's fine.
I think it was 0-7-0. Also.
Yeah, it was not good. It was bad, dude. And I just dude, I completely agree with you. Like they've got to do it at some point, man. You gotta. They're still in this race. Their 3-0 weekend is just so hard carrying them right now. Like, I don't think people understand how important that weekend was for this team because otherwise. They're down there with the TSMs and everybody else with the way that they have been playing. Like, they have about the exact same amount of wins as some of these bottom-tier teams in the last few weeks. Right. And they're not beating the teams above them. They occasionally... Yes, they got a win over TL. A lot of people are doing that right now. Yes, they surprised people and got that win over EG. Kudos to them. They played a hell of a game. I am not going to apologize for these takes, and I don't even think they're that hot. Like, Dokla needs to go back onto something that scales a little bit, something that's maybe a little bit safer, and I'm telling you right now, you put that man on an Ornn, you have contracts go to the bot lane, you give him like a Zeri or something, I don't know, like you could give Luger Callista, right? If you really want to just fully go early game with him or whatever. I don't love that pick right now, but if that's the argument that's the best pick apparently for early mid game, then do it and just give him a chance to just freaking carry. Put what's his name, Palafox on Lissandra or something. Have him push the lanes and come down and just make whoever's life they're playing against a living hell because otherwise this team is going to drop games to all the teams below them. I'm just telling you right now. I don't know that they're going to be able to beat a Golden Guardians. I don't know that they're going to be able to beat an Immortals the way they're getting played. And they could get surprised by a TSM or a Dignitas. Of all the teams that are above those bottom 4 teams, there's a reason why CLG is here. They're not in that top 5, and I don't really think they're that close. So they got to do something. And if what they're doing is not working right now, then why not go back to the tried and true?
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but also at the same time, I do want to give kudos to CLG because we're talking about some of the other teams and how we don't see the vision, all that stuff, and I think CLG is doing a lot of the stuff that we are talking about. Like you just even look at them building for the future, this roster, how it's made up. Maybe their coaching staff is weird, maybe the management's weird, maybe they're not doing it exactly, but I think CLG is in a lot better position than I think right now they're better managed than Golden Guardians, Immortals, and Dignitas. And if you look at where CLG was last year compared to this year and just what the new kind of management group and everybody that's come in has been able to do in 7, 8, 9 months or whatever, I think that's very exciting. And I think CLG is at least headed in the right direction. Who knows what's going to happen this offseason? They're going to probably have some tough decisions to make and have a lot of different ways they could go. And be like, hey, is this guy worth keeping? Is this guy worth keeping? What are our options? All that. So we'll see. But TLG was a wreck last year, and the fact that they are sixth place right now, and we're talking about them winning some games, and we're talking about them having
over 500.
a Luger and a Poom and Palafox popping up, like that's a huge step up in a year. And like if I look at Dignitas, I don't think they're gonna be next year at this time where CLG is right now.
I think that is super fair, and you have to remember they're one of the few teams that have an amateur team with young players, unknown players who are going to get their chances. So I am in that agreement with you. I think that there's a world where they are, I think, a lot better than people think. So we're going to see. I'm very interested in their offseason. Yeah. Moving on, because we got to get through a lot more of these teams, and maybe we'll have to save this contract discussion for another time, honestly. We'll have to see. Cloud9, a 2-0 weekend again for them. They are now 6-2 in their last 8 games. They're not winning games convincingly, but they're reminding us of the fact that they're still able to come back and win games, which I think is absolutely massive when you really think about it, because that just shows how good they can be. Right. I mean, they're put behind in some of these games, and you're like, oh, well, I guess this is maybe C9's not really as good as we thought. And then they're like, aha, I caught you off guard. Let me just flip on this switch right now and go win a game. And it's like, this team they're scary, man. And they're just leveling up each week. Like this week was their, hey, we're going to come back from double deficits and win both games week. Next week might be, hey, we win both of the early games and maybe make it a little scary, but still finish it out. Like, they're still figuring themselves out. I don't think Sven is all that great as a support. He's not bad, but like, he's good. It's gonna take time. I think a lot more time than most people would think.
Yeah, and I think the Nautilus game wasn't terrible either. No. Nautilus not really that good right now. Like we see a lot of people trying these engaged supports and kind of falling flat because they're just not good. They're just kind of outclassed right now. But the fact he found some angles, he found some hooks, played a team fight okay. Yeah, I don't know. The team's weird, but yeah, they have 5 very talented players who, even when they are down, and not only talented players, they're all like a little bit crazy. They're all kind of playmakers too. It's like if you're down, like give me Fudge, give me Blabber. Like maybe they'll do something crazy to get us back in this, and it just gives them so many opportunities, especially against some of the weaker teams like Golden Guardians, who, hey, you get this game 30-35 minutes. Somebody on their team might make a mistake, and we might have the guy to punish it. So yeah, individually, they're all still super talented. I do wish they looked better. It is a little frustrating that they're, not good yet. But yeah, they're very, very talented. They're fun to watch no matter what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting playoffs, I do think.
Which is great, because playoffs, normally the first 2 rounds are pretty meh. So this one could be a little different.
Yeah, and I hope it delivers, because we say that a lot sometimes too. It's like, oh, it's going to be interesting, and then you get to best of 5s, and you're like, oh yeah, best of 5s are a lot different than best of 1s. So maybe we get there and C9's like, oh yeah, hey guys, we've played some best of 5s before, and they level up, or maybe the league's just super competitive. I don't know. It's always really hard to tell. You're playing 2 different games essentially.
Yeah, I will say I do think the talent is there, but whether or not it's going to be competitive, we're going to have to see.
Yeah, they are on a short timeline. There's no guarantee that they get it right in time. And especially because the race for the top 3 is going to be so tight. Like,
oh, it's going to be.
You don't show up one day and you're done. Your season's over. Like, there's no, oh hey guys, like we just need a couple more weeks.
That's what the regular season's for. It's leveling up, my friend. I know you're one of those people in the camp of like, oh, it doesn't matter, but these are the times where you figure things out about your team and who you are and how you're going to figure it out. And I think this is a team. The next team we're going to talk about is one who really needs to figure something out. Team Liquid. This team is just too damn talented, and maybe it's the pressure. Honestly, it feels like it's the pressure that's getting to them. They just seem to be making plays that are not typical of them. And losing to CLG is what it is, but I'm actually a little more concerned that this Immortals game was really close until Boipo just decided to just full on 1v9. Um, I I don't really know what's wrong with this team other than they just are making mistakes that it feels like they want to be better in the early game. They want to be more proactive. And that's great, but they are making so many mistakes right now. I mean, they're getting caught out at weird times. Like, they're trying to push leads when they don't have to. They are trying to make plays in their 1v1s individually when they don't have to. I want to believe that this is them also leveling up, learning from, mistakes so that they can make these changes. Um, but I just they did not look good this weekend. They are lucky they walked out this weekend with 1-1 because they could have easily gone 0-2 and they could have been sitting at 6-5 with Cloud9 and CLG. I think without a doubt in my mind. Immortals, yeah, they're leveling up, but dude, they shouldn't even be in the same ballpark as this TL team. I mean, they just shouldn't.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. Like you said, the team's way too talented. It's frustrating. And it's especially more frustrating with each passing week. It's like, okay, we are getting towards the end of summer split. Yeah, beginning of spring split, you had some issues with green card, whatever was going on. Bjergsen, he's just coming back. Whippo's role swapping a top lane, yada, yada, yada. Like, we are almost through the regular season. And Team Liquid, yeah, in spring split, but a couple weeks. But since then, they haven't had a period of time where they have looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you start to wonder, like, we keep being like, oh, it's going to come. Maybe it's not. Maybe this team, like, these players are good. Maybe this team just isn't good. Like, for whatever reason. Maybe the players are in bad form. Maybe they don't play well together. Maybe, you kind of are indexing into a lot of people who have been, criticized of playing like a boring scaling up style that doesn't really work. Like, even Corey, say whatever, he was part of all those Team Liquid teams that just played around double lift. Bjergsen was part of that. Santorin has been from the same. Like, you have a lot of guys that are coming from the same place, and
Their mindset.
if it's not working, it's not working. I don't know. And then you do have Whippo, who he's coming on. He's playing great right now. Like, he is standing out even when this team is frustrating. But they don't want to play around him. He's been like, oh, the best way to play is, play through mid and go bot. And maybe that's even the top lane meta right now. You see a lot of like GP and tanks and all that different stuff. So maybe they can't play through him. But I would love a world where this team played around Whippo, playing like early game, getting him going, making some plays. Because I think he has that mindset. He's come from some different teams, some Fnatic teams that actually, like, Broxa making Lee Sin ganks at level 2, going crazy, snowballing some games. And yeah, even if this team does figure it out where they're going to ramp up and scale and be good, like, they're not playing that good in team fights right now. Like, they're getting outplayed. Like, 100 Thieves is team fighting better than them. Evil Geniuses is team fighting better than them. So if they can't make plays early and they're not the best team fighting team in the LCS by a significant margin, you're just taking fights down gold and not even making the plays. It's very frustrating.
It's really interesting to me because they're, in my mind, the antithesis of Vitality. I think Vitality's problem, and I know this is an LEC show, so you might have to go watch them or look them up a little bit more to figure this out, but like, they are a team that requires resources in all three lanes for them to be successful, right? Like, they need to find a way to somehow get more resources into their players' hands. There's not enough to go around. With this Team Liquid team, it just feels like they have resources everywhere, but they don't know where to put them. Like, I think each game they need to just pick one lane and just play through it, because it kind of feels like they're just constantly, scaling, sitting back, being reactionary to the other teams, trying to make their own individual leads instead of just like, hey, all right, like, actually, I think the game that actually helps this, even though I was being critical of it, was the Immortals game. Yes, it took a little bit of time, but like, Hans Sama and Bjergsen were not playing carry champions in that game. Yes, they still were playing the scaling thing, whatever you want to call it, but Bwipo, right, was given the resources to succeed, and he used them, and he won them the game. Was it a little closer than it should have been? Sure. But at least they made a decision on who was going to carry by the end of the game, right? Like, that was the thing. Now,
We had a game plan. We're going in.
Yes,
We have to do this.
we
It's
have
either
to.
going to work or it's not. We're not playing through Seraphine or
Exactly.
Alistar.
And then you have like this other game where it's Bwipo's playing freaking Graves. You need resources on that champion. Even if you do side lane him, you still need to give him a lot of CS, which he took but didn't do much with. You're playing Draven, also somebody who needs a lot of resources. But neither of them used it. Like, it was weird. It was like neither of them wanted to just try to take over the game. They were just happy to collect farm and try occasionally at objectives. Like, I think TL need to start learning how to skirmish better. I don't think they skirmish very well as a team, honestly. And this is going to be a huge problem for them because if they can't learn how to skirmish well, then they're not even if they do make it to Worlds, which right now it's not looking like they will.
Right.
With
I
the way
know.
they're playing, then they're not going to win a lot. You have to be able to play multiple styles, and that's what makes teams like Evil Geniuses and even other Thieves to a certain degree so good is they have multiple ways that they can win games. I think they were talking about this on the analyst desk. They all just have too much of the same mindset. And weirdly enough, you would think that would help them. To a certain degree, it would. But they're trying these other styles and they're not working, and that's concerning. Because, like, what's going to probably end up happening for this team, I'm going to be honest with you, is they're just going to end up saying, all right, we're just going to go straight to scaling and not do anything else for the rest of the split so that we can get the seed that we want. And then they're going to probably make their way to Worlds, and then they're going to still know how to play any other style. And then we're going to be like, well, we're sitting here again with a team who doesn't know how to play multiple styles of the game, and it's just bad. So
Yeah, and I think in most seasons that's maybe what even would happen. But right now, like you said, Cloud9 6-2. Even if they play scaling, it's very possible they're not even top three.
I know.
And this is where I want to get my hot take into. I was talking about this.
Here we go.
This is maybe ridiculous level, but I think it's at least an interesting discussion. Is this team? No one really knows what the answer is. No one has an answer. Everyone just knows, like, hey, we watched this team, look at team. This is not it. They're not passing the eye test, whatever. I would like to, I'm thinking like, hey, is this team going to be together next year? What's going on? One medium take is, I think subbing out Hansama and maybe getting Yan in could be interesting. I don't necessarily know, like, I'm not like, oh, Jan's going to be better than Hansama or whatever, but I do think maybe removing a veteran player, removing, like, oh, Hansama's this carry, this amazing guy we need to play around, is like going to allow them to focus more on getting other things done. Like, hey, Core JJ, we got Jan here. He's just going to play safe. He's going to chill. He's going to try and scale. Go do something. Go somewhere else. Go get something done. I also think it maybe starts building you for a future. You can see how good Jan is. Maybe you see if you want him for next year, sell him off, whatever. But the spicier take and the hotter take that I was talking about on Twitter is,
Ayla.
What if we called up Double Lift? What if we saw what he was doing, giving him a phone call of, obviously it's late, but this is a guy who has experience with Core JJ, a guy who has experience with Bjergsen, a guy who can take these resources. You're talking about, hey, we don't have anywhere to put resources. We don't know what's going on. And I don't think Hansama is going to be back next year. I don't think that, this is where the team's going. I think Team Liquid Double Lift at this point, giving them a couple weeks to ramp up, see what's going on, see if they can get hot before the playoffs, could be interesting. And I would want to see it maybe.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they did that?
Yeah, there's
my God.
no way that it would happen.
That would be so unbelievable. And then they go and they like make their run to Worlds and then go 06. That would be, oh my, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know if I don't know if my heart could handle that. That would be such an unbelievably insane, but probably weirdly would work out move.
Right.
Like, you'd have to do it this
That's what I
week.
was gonna say.
They could not do it any later.
Right.
It would have to be
That's
this
what I was saying. I would have maybe even liked to see it coming out of the week-long break. Like, if you could have fit it in there, maybe that would have been interesting. But yeah, this team is like missing that thing. Like, it seems like they have a bunch of like nice guys, a bunch of like, we don't want to step on each other's toes. We don't want to, and I know like Bjergsen gets fired up behind the scenes. They have competitors and stuff, but I know Bwipo was talking about this on Analyst Desk. He's like, you have 5 guys who have all done things in their career. We all respect each other a lot. We all know that each player is great, has great ideas, can do great things. You need somebody to boss up. You need somebody to be like, no, this is what we're doing. Hey, I don't give a shit if you are great or whatever. you need to take a back seat this game,
I
or hey,
agree.
you need to step up this game, or whatever.
Somebody's got to push these guys to have a fire under them. That's
Yeah,
different than
yeah,
just,
yeah.
hey, we want to win. It's got to be, hey, we need to dominate, not we want to win.
Yeah.
We need to dominate.
Yeah, and
I
I
love
think
it.
Doublelift, with the history in this org, the history with some of the players, he's had success with some of these players. I'm really low on what Team Liquid is doing right now, and I'm really low on, okay, Doublelift's going to come in and save the team or whatever. But like, I think it's crazy enough of giving them a pivot of something different, of where I see where this shipwreck that's about to happen is going on. Like, I really don't think right now, if I had to guess, I'm saying this Team Liquid team's not going to Worlds, which is insane
Crazy.
disaster.
Crazy.
So can we do something even crazier? Can we mix it up? Can we give ourselves a shot? And I think that it's still unlikely, but I think it's unlikely right now that this Team Liquid team's doing anything. So let's spice it up a little bit. Let's call up DL, see what he's thinking about.
Love it. I'm so shocked. I actually don't even remember what my hot take is. So we'll have to go through back and maybe you'll remember that. I don't know.
Golden Guardians missing playoffs.
That's right. That's right. Man, my take is not looking very spicy right now. All right, we got about 15 minutes before people stop probably completely listening. So let's go through these other teams real quick. Let's go FlyQuest, dude. Let's freaking go. This team looks awesome. Yeah. So what? Their wins were over Dignitas and Golden Guardians. I do not care at all. You have to take care of business. You just have to. This team is taking care of business. Let me put it this way. Everybody is seeing how good Takui is, and he only had 5 kills this weekend. But he's so impactful in all the plays that he's making, the roams that he is doing, the skirmishes that he is taking, the multiple plays that he is making. Johnson is playing well. This is easily the best we have ever seen Jose Diodo. Aframu is leading this team from the background. Philip is actually LCS ready at this point in my mind. Like, I really believe that. I'm just going to tell you right now, I think this team is... there's a world where this team makes it to Worlds, and I'm not surprised even a little bit at this point. And that they actually probably play well internationally. I don't know if they'd win a ton of games, but I like this team, dude. This team is fun. They are good. And damn it, I don't care what any of you say out there. My take on Takui being at least in the top 3 for MVP is a good take. It's happening right in front of your eyes. I said it like 3 weeks ago, and you guys gave me shit for it. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think that, them being in World's contention is crazy right now. It's like if you had to pick right now, who's more likely to go to Worlds, like FlyQuest or TL? Like, I don't know. I think they're both on the outside looking in right now, because I do rate C9 pretty highly, and I favor C9 and TL going into best of 5s over FlyQuest. But FlyQuest is in the mix. They keep looking stronger. Seeing what Philip's doing makes me, this is way out of left field, makes me want to see Tenacity in the LCS even more. Makes me more and more disappointed that we don't get to see that. But FlyQuest is good. They're fun. They scrap it out. They're not a boring team. They're not like the flashiest personalities or anything. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to watch the FlyQuest video this weekend or whatever. But like, when a FlyQuest game's on, it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be fun to watch. And I think if they go to Worlds, they'll probably struggle. But like, if this team goes to play-ins and like plays against some good teams at play-ins, especially with, we're gonna have 2 LEC teams in LPL and LCK. They get to play against some of those teams, scrim some of those teams, get out of play-ins. Even if they win like 1-5 in groups, it would be amazing for this team just to have that experience. And I don't know if they're going. Maybe most years this team would be a top 3 team, but we have some decent teams this year. But at the very least, they're gonna get some banger best of 5s, which will still be great for them in the LCS playoffs.
I am just so high on this team, and I know maybe it's a little too much, but like, I mean, when you look at the players on this team, and yes, you have the nearly 30-year-old Aframu. I get it, but like, everybody else is 22 and under basically, and you're like, these are one of those teams where you look at it and you go, wait. Is there a world where this team doesn't need to make any changes going into next year? And I think that is almost as exciting as anything else to me, because maybe you could upgrade in the jungle if Jose Diodo isn't just playing out of his mind like he is right now, right? Like, if you wanted something consistent, I maybe a Spica would be like, holy shit, this team. Then you're like, oh wait, this team might be amazing. But like, you also don't want to ruin the synergy that he and Takui have right now. And this mid jungle duo. I think they said it on the cast yesterday, but like, it is secretly, quietly, probably one of the best mid jungle duos in the LCS right now, and they're just leveling up. This team is good. I don't care what anybody says. They've pretty much already locked a playoff spot. Now they're just trying to fight for one of those top 3 spots. They are one game out behind 100 Thieves. If you had told me that at the beginning of this split, I'm pretty sure one of us have them in like our bottom 3 teams in our power rankings.
A long time ago.
Maybe that was Mike.
Maybe.
I think it was Mike over on Hearthstone Gold. Like, I'm pretty sure he had them in his bottom 3 teams. I was like, yeah, I don't think they're that bad, but I don't know that, I had them, I think, 6th. Dude, this team is gonna challenge some people. And you talk about best of 5s, they're very versatile. I actually am not worried about a best of 5s for them at all. I think maybe the nerves might be worrisome for them, but like, you have Aframu there. He is apparently this guy has got to be in conversations for one of the best players in the LCS of all time. I mean, I'm serious. Like, multiple finals wins, multiple teams that he makes better. Whenever he retires, he is going to make one of the best freaking coaches of all time. Like, he will win as many championships as a coach as he does as a player, I bet. I'm just serious. I just have so much respect for what he is doing with this team. They are fun. They are interesting. And they're gonna mess some people up. Now let's talk about these last 2 teams real quick. 100 Thieves. Good for them, man. Good for them. Abadage, I can't honestly believe they didn't give him Player of the Week because he was an animal. I mean, he was just, yeah. You're talking about about Palafox being faker, dude. Like, come on. Abadage was awesome. Even the TSM game, yes, he didn't get that many kills, whatever. Consistently making big ults, big W's on the Lissandra, getting out of bad situations, putting the pressure, giving Maple no chance to win the game. And then he goes into Evil Geniuses and he makes Jojo Pune look like an academy player. That's how much he was outplaying him. And like, Jojo Pune's arguably the best mid laner in the league right now. Dude, when Abadage is on, this team is horrifying. I would not want to be anywhere near them because they're just there, man. They're one game back now. Good for them. I love when this team is good. I really do. They're fun.
Yeah. When they are good, they are exciting. They have some dogs at every position. They have playmakers. They are so streaky, and it feels like they all feed off of each other's energy. It's like we all know we can do some stuff. So if somebody does something, I got to one-up it. I got to go crazy, whatever. But they run just as cold, and that's just what's so frustrating to me about them. It's like if when they're clicking, they're clicking. When they're not, they're not. And I tweeted that out. I was like, hey, it's not. The question was never, can 100 Thieves beat Evil Geniuses? It's, is the 100 Thieves that can beat Evil Geniuses? Are they going to show up? How often are they going to show up? That type of stuff. And it's just like, I wish that they had the highs and the lows were like middling, not like so horrific to watch. But yeah, this team's talented. I mean, if you're going to be playing good, now's a pretty good time to be playing well. Obviously, hopefully they keep that form for a couple weeks. It's not the perfect time to be peaking, but Abadage has looked like a bottom 3 and a top 3 mid laner in the same like 4 or 5 weeks.
Crazy.
Which is crazy.
It is nuts. And yeah, I just am. I don't know, man. I like you said, it's hard for me not to be excited though, because when they're hot, they're hot, and there's a world where they just run this all the way through the playoffs. Even I mean,
right, if they won, I don't think anyone would be shocked.
Yeah. So I couldn't agree more. Let's talk about the team they did beat too. Evil Geniuses. Yay, they lost. I've never been so happy about a loss for this team. I don't think you guys get it. Like, this team needs at least this loss and maybe one more to really, I think, solidify. And this is going to sound so contradictory, but like, I think to solidify themselves as the best team in the LCS, because these are the games where they can look back and just be like, what did we do wrong? What do we need to do differently? Where in the draft can we do things a little bit better? They talked about the draft. There was a lot of risky plays here. Danny kind of got banned out a little bit, so now you're like, oh wait, maybe if you focus 80 carry, bans, then maybe they're not as good. Like, these are things they have to learn, and I'm so freaking pumped that this happened because, listen, guys, they're not losing 7 or 8 straight games. Okay, they're not going to go 9-9 or any crazy crap like that. They're going to win at least 4 more games, and they're going to still end up being the best team probably in the LCS by the end of the split. But you know what? This win not only was good for 100 Thieves, it was not only good for EG, but it was good for the LCS. You have to lose some games in order to get better. Failure is the best teacher. It just frankly is. There's a reason why the best baseball players in the world only get 3 hits out of 10, and they are Hall of Famers. Failure breeds success if you can learn and overcome it. This is the first time we're seeing this team get challenged, and what's more interesting is it happens on a Sunday, on a getaway day, another baseball term, on a day where they are not playing the next day. So we're going to have to see what they do when they come out next week. If they lose another game in a row, then you might start to wonder, was this team just playing so much off of confidence? There's an argument that could be made there, but I could not be more happy that this team lost. And
this team,
not in the bad.
They haven't gone through a rough patch in quite a long time. I mean, you think spring playoffs straight into MSI. Yeah, they go 0-6 against G2, but still overall, you have to say MSI was a success. Come right back into summer, pick up right where they left off. Like, yeah, it's been a while, and you start getting like the JoJo interviews of like, hey, LCS sucks. I don't even have to play that good, and we still beat everybody and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's not great. I mean, it's funny, and I think that's a hilarious clip, and like I can appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like, do I want my rookie mid laner like? You can say that and it's funny, but like I hope you don't actually believe that because that's a little bit concerning. You still have a long ways to go, like to get where we want to be. But I do really respect and appreciate the infrastructure that EG has, the coaching, management, the team, everybody they have behind them. If there's anybody that can learn from a loss, I do think it's this EG team and this EG staff. I think they have the right mix of good coaches, experienced veteran players, good leadership. I'm sure JoJo and Danny like respect, Impact, Vulcan, those guys a lot, even though they like to joke and have fun and stuff. Inspired, he's had highs and lows in his career already. So yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good for the LCS that EG loses. It's good that 100 Thieves wins. What are these teams going to make of it? What's 100 Thieves going to build off of this? What's EG going to learn from this? And what's that best of 5 going to look like in playoffs now? And what are these teams going to look like at Worlds? Obviously, that's the ultimate story. But, in the short term, what's that best of 5 in the playoffs going to look like? Because these teams are going to meet up.
Yeah, and we're going to find out, what Evil Geniuses are really made of. Again, this is their first little hiccup. Can they go and win the rest of it? I mean, they can't go, obviously, for the 17-1 record anymore. That's out the door. But, I mean, could they win their next 7 games and go 16-2? I think they could. Absolutely. I think they've already played the second best team in the LCS. So
right, they're going to be heavy favorites in every game the rest of the season. Like right now against even Team Liquid and FlyQuest, it's not like you're like, oh, Evil Geniuses, oh, maybe, Yeah,
they might drop one more random game. I think realistically they go 15-3. I think is somewhere around there. But like, this is good. This is really good, LCS fans. We could not have asked for a better team to beat them and be able to teach them something. Because at least this isn't like, again, a random loss to like a Dignitas or a TSM.
Right, yeah.
Like
that would just be stupid.
Yeah, that would just be like, well, they just got out drafted, or they, were playing with their faces half blinded or something, a patch over their eye or something. I don't know. Like this team is great. They're not just good, they are great. And they lost to another pretty good team. I wouldn't say great, but pretty good team who had a great day, and they had a bad day, and now they can learn from that. And if you're going to tell me that Danny isn't going to go and freaking practice, which champion was he on again? Got to remember. Nope, wrong game. Kaisa, if you think he's not going to go practice Kaisa, you're wrong. I bet you he plays Kaisa multiple times this week to try to relearn that matchup. So
yeah, or maybe they even go a little bit deeper in their drafts and picks or whatever. Because I know Danny was kind of tweeting like, hey, guys, Kaisa kind of sucks, actually. We tried it, and we're like, oh, that felt pretty terrible. So maybe it's like, hey, we got to be ready for if teams do target us this way, or we got to
Exactly.
have more things prepared. So yeah, maybe it's not Kaiser, maybe it's something different, maybe it is Kaiser, maybe it's a different build. Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of teams, and I know Team Liquid ran into this as well, of running into an Azir with the short range 80 carries. The Palafox game against TL, that's a Draven. Now this game, you're running a Kaiser into an Azir. Like, Azir gives these short range 80 carries some trouble.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be stuff that they're learning, and that's what I think we'll both agree is what was needed. Now, we are coming to the end of our show. So, with that, as a reminder, because I was just reminded, Germ, that I did pick for Golden Guardians to not make playoffs as my hot take, which is looking pretty lukewarm compared to your double lift not making or getting picked up by TL. That is that's scorching hot. That is like molten lava hot, and I love it.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I know, especially after your lukewarm takes the last 2 weeks. I'm trolling. Those were still good takes. This one's just this one is like the sun hot.
You gotta bring it sometimes.
With that, our punishment. Would you like to explain to the people, because this was another banger one that I think is gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're seeing what we can do. So this week, the angle I'm thinking is, hey, you guys know LCS viewership's down. People have all their different reasons. Oh, I don't like this guy, or oh, this is boring. This is exciting. This is interesting. Whatever. We're gonna try our best to fix that. This next week, the loser is going to be auditioning to become the next great play-by-play LCS caster. We're gonna be picking whatever team fight we want. Hopefully a decent one. Hopefully a fun one. I'm thinking like 20, 30, 40 seconds long, and we're going to all out caster, announcer voice, breaking it down, talking fast, rap god, whatever. We're going to be breaking down a team fight, play by play, posting the video up on Twitter, and we're going to see where our casting career goes from there.
I mean, if Whippo can get up there on the desk, I'm so sure that both of us can,
Anybody can do it.
Anybody can. Can't even say that. He was so good. So good.
Yeah.
With that, we're going to have to table our contract discussion. Go check out what the LCK is doing with some of their contracts. Very interesting.
It's gonna be an ongoing thing.
Oh, for sure. And if you think the LCS isn't going to be looking at it, you're sorely mistaken. I think that's going to be one of the big things they look at here soon. So we'll see what happens. But with that, this has been Hot Takes. I'm Rob. He's Germ. And we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.